Lovely. There's a, I just want to show you the Skeletor stuck in. It's the war memorial. You see the men are in chains. Can you see that? He's in chains. He's crying in chains. And you got death there, the killing fields of World War I. And England expects every man to do his duty. Oh, how dulce e decorum est pro patria mori. Yes, we know what that one is. He's the undercovers. Probably just as well they're driving around slowly, because you never know when the next group of young angry men may detonate or get a bit shooty. Hamas cheerleaders all around the world, whining, crying, beating their chests in anger. How dare Israel reject the watered down, pathetic ceasefire agreement from Hamas that wanted to turn 33 living hostages into 33 dead bodies. At the same time this is happening, Israel goes ahead and invades Rafah because Hamas, from their final stronghold, which means embedded amongst all their men, women and children, big brave warriors, they killed a further 4 Israeli soldiers at one of the crossings where Israel organizes humanitarian aid for the civilians. So well done, Hamas. Well done, all your Western cheerleaders. And Joe Biden, in a show of lefty filleting the satanic give me that phallus, because there's an election this year in America. Oh, Joe Biden and America will always be the ultimate allies of Israel. But in order to appease the university raiding, the Hamas filleting, the leftism pushing, because it's easier than working hard, in order to pacify them ahead of the vote, he's had to pretend, and maybe it's going to be some sort of future thing. Joe Biden, the old sniffy says, we will not give any more artillery shells or missiles if you're going to finish the job of destroying a terrorist organization which enjoys killing babies. So Joe Biden would rather appease lefty voters. I ain't voting for Biden. He let Israel kill Hamas. So he's appeasing them. Israel then, because Joe Biden, terrifying the native Israeli population, had to then release a statement. The Israeli Defense Forces general, he goes, we have more than enough weaponry to finish the job in Rafah. And because what happens in the Middle East is now a global issue, because we all use oil, we all put petrol in our cars, we all use money. As I predicted many months ago, the native British Muslim population is getting increasingly fired up into thoughts of jihad because they struggle to find an identity. I don't know why they should. They should just become good Christians. You want an identity? Jesus Christ, there's your identity. Boom. You're a good person now. But as I predicted, they're upping the ante. The empty threat rhetoric has unfortunately now crossed over into actual threat rhetoric. And in Wigan and other parts of Manchester, 4 young men have been arrested quite spectacularly by armed police as part of anti-terrorism investigations. So what I can predict, because of Gaza, because of the Islamic Ummah, how dare those Jews, how dare the Jewish nation defend itself against the glorious Islamic warriors of Hamas and Islamic Jihad and the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade. Just a sudden thought, the Hezbollah flag has a gun on it. The Saudi Arabian flag has a sword on it. Why? Why not have like a tree or an eagle or something on your flag? Why a AK-47 and a sword? Tells you what you need to know. So anyway, we saw footage. There was a young man getting arrested at a gym in Wigan for planning terrorism offenses, and they feel justified. How dare Israel defend itself? How dare Britain stand by Israel? I guess we better go massacre large numbers of innocent civilians to show that we're not happy about it. Speaking of British people getting upset. Anyway, what's that, Preston bus station? Yes. I'm happy and relieved that the university occupations of young Hamas cheerleaders in Britain has been a lot tamer than in Holland or the United States or Canada. In Canada, America and Holland, the police had to bring out riot gear and bulldozers to deal with the ideologically driven Free Palestine. Continuing the No Jews, No News of our current affairs program, known as the Charlie Cveitch Show. There's a competition called Eurovision. Israel has to compete with the Europeans, not just because they're quite Western democratic European culture, which they are. I don't think the Arab nations would be happy with a Jewish nation competing with them, whereas the Europeans are like, yay! Anyway, the Irish contestants dressing as literal demons, small imps of Satan, with the wrong flags. And you see the crowds jeering and booing and screaming Free Palestine when the young Israeli lady tries to compete to sing her song. That's not normal. Further weird news, the James Webb Space Telescope that sees in strange frequencies that we cannot and the Hubble cannot, keeps finding out strange things. They are structures made of galaxies, made of black holes bigger than traditional physics would allow. And in terms of space as well, some solar flares going on. It's nice and sunny. I've been looking at the sun. I've gone blind. But there's some good solar flares, meaning that here in Preston, in Liverpool, even in England, even all over England, south, you can see the northern lights, the aurora borealis in your kitchen at this time of year, alone in your... Yeah. You thought surely Charlie's going to give us some good news now that he sat down with his peach iced tea. Nope. Yesterday in London, in broad daylight, about 3 p.m. in the afternoon, a 60-year-old lady holding onto her handbag was stabbed to death by a Somali 22-year-old thief for her handbag. I've always been a massive fan of the city centre. Any city, get me an urban area, get me loads of young people, get me loads of professional clerical people, all in one place. Bring out the restaurants, bring out the festivals, bring out the excitement, bring out the drama, bring out the pubs. But Laura and I spent today walking around Preston in the sun. It's 23 degrees Celsius, and it's a lovely sunny day, as you can imply from the behind me. But in the neo-socialist woke order, city centres, rather than being centres for European cultural excellence, you know, cafe culture, smoking a gitaine, l'espresso, le café au lait. Let's talk philosophy. No. European cities, and now American cities to a certain extent, Canadian cities, Australian cities, have become holding pens for the forgotten refugee tribesmen of planet Earth. And at a time when automation and AI is getting rid of all the jobs for the unskilled, the government decides it's time. Someone just coughed at me. I don't. Anyway, government decides it's time to bring in millions of people to and what it is, I walk around the city centres. There's two types of people I see here. The broken down English people, that there's something wrong with them physically, mentally, the broken people. You know, the kind of permanently unemployed, you know, broken people. There's those, and there's also recent immigrants who are not working. They're sat around getting horny, looking at all the young girls, and I just don't see it ending very well. It's like all those, like, you know, I do the jokes about Landing Strip 1, Stabfest 1. This is like a scene in a George Orwell adaptation where all the hard-working normal people have escaped the cities. This is literally Snake Plissken now, Escape from New York. You know what, Laura, should we watch Escape from New York tonight? I think it's Kurt Russell. Affirmative. Right, it's on. Escape from Preston. We're going to do it. Preston, eh? Preston.